Three. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the White Belt MMA Podcast. And it is an absolute pleasure to have on the show one of the rising prospects in the UFC, Adrian Yanez. How you doing, my man?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm blessed. I get to fight for a living, at least for the meanwhile. So pretty happy and pretty excited, man.
Yeah, man. So, my man, this is the thing, especially you're someone that I look up to, especially someone like that's from the Hispanic community, living out their dreams. And if, for me, that's, just about to graduate from college and, me going into the field of like actually wanting to cover you guys, tell your guys' story. Let's just start with your story, man. So, how'd you get involved with combat sports? What made you, want to get a like into it, whether it be for boxer, mixed martial arts? Just, start from the start, my man.
And from the beginning, I think it was just kind of like in the bloodline a little bit because my dad, he grew up a boxer. He pretty much like wanted to be a boxer. He was boxing for a while. Did Golden Gloves, I think like 4 times, but he was gonna win it 3 times in a row. But on the third time, he went after. He broke his hand. Couldn't really do much with it in the fight. And then he went back. He went back the next time and got it. And got it for a third time. So it's just kind of one of those things that I felt like it was just bound to happen, especially the way he was. As soon as at the youngest that I can remember, man, we're watching boxing fights almost every other weekend. We'd buy all the big pay-per-views, man. So it was just one of those things that I really loved watching. I really loved watching the sport, and it was just one of those things that I knew that's what I liked. I didn't really like anything else, man. I was young. I was watching boxing. I was watching WWE and WWF and all that, WCW, ECW, all that stuff back in the day. And then the games that I'd be playing was like Mortal Kombat, Fight Night, all of that stuff, man. So it was kind of all paths leading to MMA. And one day like there was a chance where I was going to be able to jump into a boxing gym, but just under the different circumstances that was going on at that point in time and in our lives, we couldn't pull it off. So, I've always been that guy to argue that boxing was better than MMA, but now I'm on the other spectrum now.
Yeah.
But man, it was just, to me, like with all the mixture in it, it was just kind of inevitable. And luckily for me, the reason why I started MMA was just like, it wasn't even through my dad. It was just like me and my mom were walking through the mall and we ended up finding a gym there. And it was like literally like, I never would have thought you would have a gym inside the mall. We would walk in. That was like one of the first things you see. Just people, just like all you hear is like bags being hit and everything. We walk by and we just see the gym. They had a cage in the back and everything. So I was like very intrigued. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, "Hey, let's go over there right quick. Let's go ask questions." Went and asked questions, and I found out that I get 3 free days, and pretty much was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna use those 3 days to the full extent. And we did kickboxing. I did kickboxing, the cardio kickboxing. And I did kickboxing again. Then pretty much I was like, I want to sign up, and I kept bugging my parents. I was like 15 years old. Yeah, 14, 15. And I just kept bugging them, and then finally, like my grade, like they're like, well, if your grades come up, I was like, man, I'm only a month into school right now. Like, I found it during the summer.
Yeah.
Like, I found it during the summer, and then finally, just out of nowhere, they just finally told me, it's like, hey, we went to go sign you up, and you get. At the time, I was only doing it 2, maybe 3 times a week because the membership that we had, and then after that, like the instructors just kept telling me, let's do jujitsu. And I was doing a little bit of kickboxing, man, a little bit of kickboxing. Like, it wasn't much, man. It was like literally like a month in, I convinced my parents to let me do jujitsu, and pretty much that's where everything. I don't even count like the month that I did kickboxing as like the kickboxing, because they ended up taking the kickboxing away and ended up making it do just like regular cardio kickboxing, which is no technique. They just want you to get tired, pretty much.
Yeah.
And after that, like that's pretty much where everything else shot off, because I was doing jiu-jitsu for 2 years, and then next like I got the little glimmer of like, I want to compete. And the gym that I was at the time was pretty much saying, is like, look, if you want to go in there and fight, you have to do a tournament first, which to me, I'm kind of like, now thinking back, I was like, man, I didn't have to do a tournament. I didn't have to do a jiu-jitsu tournament. They're like two completely different things.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like I'm stepping into a sanctioned fight, but y'all wanted me to do a jiu-jitsu match. Like they're both like totally completely different. You train opposite for it, and man, after that first fight, I knew what I wanted to do, and it just kind of just all fell right into my lap, because like I got the joy of like walking out to the cage. Like I had all the emotions of like, holy crap. Like I remember all the emotions. So I was like I was nervous. My heart was like thumping through my chest. And it was just one of those things for me that like, I don't know why, but I loved it. I loved walking out and my heart was like thumping through my chest. I step in the cage, I look across, and like, I really didn't even look across, because I was like I was a big fan of Jose Aldo at the time, and I saw
Yeah.
that he never looked at his opponents. So once I got in the ring, I just had my eyes to the floor. I'd look up and I see his feet walking around back and forth, and I was just like, oh man, oh man, like it was real. And then after that fight, like it was like a hard fought fight. And next thing you know, it's like I get out the cage, and I look at my dad, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like this is fun. Just the training. The training for me was really fun, and I would look at the instructors and be like, this is something I want to do. But also after that fight, I kind of knew I needed more, because I knew what I was getting wasn't enough.
Mm.
I was just doing jiu-jitsu. I'd probably get to maybe do the mitts maybe once, and then maybe even like 30 minutes, if that. Like, so I wasn't getting no type of striking whatsoever. And I knew that, like, hey, like I was looking at all these other guys who were like in the Houston area who were fighting, and I saw that they had like uh, decent striking, good grapplers and all that stuff. But I just knew, I was like, man, if I want to beat these guys, they all have decent striking. I want great striking. I
Mm.
want I want great wrestling. I want great jujitsu. And pretty much, like I told my dad, I was like, this is not a fight gym. This is like one of those gyms where everybody just goes to compete in jujitsu and all that, and it's not the same getting ready. And my dad completely agreed. And we went to our first gym that we went to was Metro Fight Club in Salt
Mm.
Solis. And pretty much from there, like we walked in, we didn't walk out. Like we stayed there forever, man. And we're still with the same guy, still with my coach Salt Solis. And man, I'm blessed, because he's pretty much made everything come together exactly what we needed, and I still need, So
Mm.
it all turned out great and perfect, man. But yeah, pretty much that's a summary. But there was like a lot more intels in between those. But
No,
it's
yeah, definitely. And I feel like one of the questions I do want to ask is, especially coming from an Hispanic household, like I train as well, but I know like the first time I got into training, my mom was like really, really against it. So was that kind of the same with you as well? Like, you're like, oh no, like I want to, try out this, mixed martial arts gym, this and that. And then she's like, no, 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 like, go play soccer, go do something else. Like, why do you want to get punched in the face or roll around with like a bunch of people? Was that kind of the same thing for you?
Oh yeah, that's a pretty much almost spot on here, man. Like exactly, like my mom. Here's the weird thing. My mom always knew that I was gonna do something different. My mom always knew that I was gonna do something different, because like at a young age, dude, my mom's told me, is like, you started walking at 7 months old. Like you started walking. You didn't want to be still. You wanted to go up and do things. And which is true. I don't like desk jobs. I don't like any of that stuff. And for me, like she always knew that I was gonna do something. She was like, but she would always try to push me into go swimming, like do track, do this. But it just like she wanted to put me in that at a younger age, but also kind of going back to why I didn't join the boxing gym is because stuff, just at the time just wasn't able to work out. And by that time, like I started like getting more active. I was turning into a chunky little kid, like a chunky little Hispanic kid. So I knew kind of all that stuff wasn't gonna work out for me. And pretty much like once I really joined, my mom was like, yeah, no, you can do the cardio kickboxing, and all that stuff. This is good, and you can defend yourself and all that. I like it. but I don't want you to fight. And then pretty much like whenever you're 17, in the state of Texas, you had to get a notary signed, like you had to get a paper signed and notarized by your parents to be able to be able to fight at the age of 17 here in Texas. Because I remember when I wanted to fight ASAP. So once I turned 17, I told my dad, I was like, I want to fight. Like, I want to fight. And pretty much he was like, we're going to have to keep this a secret from your mom for a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I know. I wasn't expecting to tell her soon. So, and when she found out I was going to fight, she was like, she was really, she was really against it. But at the same time, like, she saw how hard I was working for it. And honestly, she saw and she was like, man, at least he's working hard towards something, because I kind of really showed no interest in anything else. I kind of showed interest in welding a bit, but I didn't want to do welding. I didn't want to do anything, it was just one of those things that like it was hard for me to find passion in anything else except MMA. And my mom was like, after it was over, she's like, if this is what you want to do, you can do it. I'm not gonna like it, but like at least you're doing something you love. She wasn't like one of these old parents that you see like on the movies, being like, no, you can't do that whatsoever. No, my mom was pretty cool about it. Right after, just like, she has to be there. She has to be at every single fight. The only fight that she hasn't been close to or near me was my contenders fight and my last fight with Gustavo Lopez, but she was actually there in Vegas. And honestly, it takes a lot for my mom to get on a plane and go somewhere, because she hates planes. Like, she had to get almost dosed up with drugs to have mom just to go to Vegas. And like, it's been real cool, man. Especially since after like everything with my dad, my mom kind of took over my dad's spot and was uh like it took over my dad's spot in, like, being there, wanting, like after my dad passed, because my dad would buy all my shorts. My mom was like, I'm picking this up, I'm buying all your shorts and everything. So it was pretty cool for that to happen too. Like, I felt like that even brought us like so much more closer, being like a like yeah it was really, really cool. It was really neat.
Yeah, that's awesome too, man. Like you said, especially since like she kind of got on board and kind of like, at first she wasn't all about it, but then she just, like I said, it's like eventually she saw that was like the one thing that you're working hard, it was your dream. And like, that's like the best you can ask of a parent, right? It's just to be supportive of your dreams. Cause I mean, a good support system is going to go a real long way of us like accomplishing our dreams. But I do have to ask though, like who spilled the beans of like your mom finding out, if you don't mind me asking, like how that happened, like how she find out like with your fight.
Oh, when we got tickets, when we got tickets for the fight, that's how she found out. She's like, "What's this?" Because they were mailed in. They were mailed in, and because we had to go sell tickets, and she was the one that usually got the mail, and she was like, Legacy Fighting Series, like Legacy, like I think it was like Legacy Amateur Fighting Series. So it was the LFA, but before they were LFA, like Legacy Fighting Championship, they had this thing called LAS, which was the Legacy Amateur Series. And my mom saw that and was like, "What is this?" And I was like, I don't know.
That's when the sweat started coming down the face. You're like, "Oh my god, no."
Yeah, but it had my dad's name on there, and she's like, "Did your dad buy tickets for something?" I was like, "No." And she opened up, and she's like, "Why do we have so many tickets?" And I was like, that's when my dad walked in, coming in from work, and was like, "Up,
it's time."
Like, well, if there's any time to tell her, it's definitely now.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's awesome, bro. I mean, like I said, like now she's on board, so that's the best thing you can ask for. So, man, so like, as you're going up, dude, you get the call up from the UFC for the Contender Series. So, like, how what was your mindset there? Like, how'd you feel? Like, how did the people around you feel? Like, especially for your mom, like from not being supportive to now being supportive, like, what was her mindset, after hearing that you got the call up from the
Oh
UFC?
man, like I know for myself, it was one of those like moments for me, because like like I felt like I took like a harder route than most of a lot of these guys in the UFC end up taking. Uh, I fought all the hard fights. Like I fought the Miles Johns, the Domingo Pilartes, like before like the UFC, and then also like a Kyle Estrada fight. No, any up and comer is gonna try to take a Kyle Estrada fight. That guy is he hits too hard. He's too dangerous. He has knockout power, and he has like people that want to stop. He stopped people by kicks before. I think like twice already. But I fought all the hard people outside the organization, and like a lot of these fighters don't. Their first hard fight is in the UFC or in the contenders. So, for me, like I felt like it was long overdue. Especially like I would go on a win streak, then I'd fight the UFC caliber type of fight, and then lose a real thin decision. So it just felt like long overdue, but like I felt like it was like, man, like it finally paid off. It finally paid off, and pretty much for my mom, it was more of the same because like it kind of almost felt like a never ending road of me like still like scratching the surface of being there, but then get pushed back. And my mom felt the same way towards that, like to the point where she's like, well, you can start teaching and everything. I had a regular job at that time. I had the contenders and she was like, well, you can do that for a side money, just help build. Like you're not gonna stop doing this, so you might as well just start making money off of it. And once that contenders call came, like she was like very proud, like very very proud, like, hey, I'm gonna fight in front of Dana White. But also she was real nervous because like it's UFC, and you hear everything UFC, and everybody's like, oh crap, all those guys are really 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 good, especially to people who like really don't watch like fights and fighting.
Mm.
uh, who don't really go outside their way to watch fights and fighting, and it's like one of those that to me that uh people were kind of underestimating me. Like my mom was like, "You just got to be very careful." Like I could tell whenever my mom was like I know that she wasn't like she was confident in what I could do, but she was nervous because she would always tell me when she sees me, "Is like you're gonna do it." It's like, but remember, it's like, but remember, it was always that, but remember
Yeah.
that anything could happen and all that stuff. Like, and my mom would try to give me advice a little bit here and there. Because one thing I have noticed that she started doing, she started researching all my opponents. She'll look the guy up and like, and start trying to see. She's like, well, he does this, and I was like, wait, like you watched that fight, mom? Like you found that fight? She's like, yeah, and she watches their interviews and everything. So, I know on my end, like it was very cool. And then also too, my another big reason like I have like a really good support system is like it's not just the immediate like my mom, my brother, my girlfriend, my like my dad when he was here. It wasn't just like this immediate family. Like my mom's side of the family has been uber supportive, man, super super supportive. Like there's only like a couple times where like I think I think the only fights they have missed have been the contenders and UFC fights,
Mm.
and like they've went to every single one of my fights, even as amateurs. So I was 10-3 as a pro and 6-0 as an amateur. So about 19 fights they've been to. Like they paid tickets like from anywhere ranging from $30 to $75, and they would always go out there and like show support, man. They even drove out to Dallas for me. They even drove out to Belton. They've drone. They wouldn't go on their own. They honestly were like, because I'm fighting out there, they drove out there. So to me, like it's not just the small and medium support system, but it's the outside support system too. Like my mom's side of the family, like coming out clutch. They would come out clutch every single time and just like support anything that had Yanez on it. They would immediately go buy it. So it was like to me, it's amazing, man. Like I have such a great support system, and it's like I couldn't ask for anything better, honestly.
That's awesome. And like, is like your mom's side of the family also like big boxing fans as well?
Oh yeah, like especially now, like especially now, like my cousins that I grew up with, like they're all like UFC fanatics. Like my cousin Wesley, like he's always watching. He's always.
Oh, I think you muted yourself, Adrian.
I'm sorry, something happened, but
No, you good, bro. You good.
yeah, like they're always watching the UFC fights, and they'll message me about a fight that's coming up and everything, and get my opinion. It was pretty cool, man. It was really cool. I got like it's one of those things that I'm like never out my element of like whenever they start talking to me because they always want to talk about the fights and I'm like yeah, like when they start trying to talk about cars and everything I'm just like yeah yeah that that Dodge Charger looks pretty nice, man. I like the outside. I like the body kit. Yeah, very.
You're just like, just nod and wave, nod and wave.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do, man. But other than that, man, it's like it's real cool, man. Like I got like a whole family support system that is you know to me is great. It's really great to me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, no, because I really wanted to ask you about like, especially if like there were fans of like boxing and all that. Because like I know you said like when you first started like into like watching combat sports, it was with boxing, and then especially after your last fight, Teddy Atlas came up, and I know you got asked about it a little bit too. But like, I know if I was in your shoes, and then someone like Teddy Atlas, someone that you would always see like on those like ESPN shows all the time, giving you compliments, like I'll be all over the moon. So was that you as well? Like you're just like, dude, am I living in the dream right now? Like this is crazy, dude.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it felt like, honestly, to me. Like I was like I like whenever the reporter told me about it at the post conference interview, I was like I didn't know how to react at that time. Like I didn't know like everything that was told to me is like that was my genuine reaction to all of it. And kind of sitting back on it, I was like, man, I missed a lot of things that I should have said. Like I was like, man, I should like because if I would have actually instead of like saying like, man, that's so amazing, I would have been like, no, that actually genuinely means a lot to me because what like this like just seeing the Teddy Atlas scorecards to me and seeing what round went where like oh this boxer won this round and then Teddy Atlas would break down why he scored it this way and like he almost gave me my sense of like my knowledge of boxing like he showed like it was almost like would physically show me how to score a boxing fight and also like to me which I kind of like at the time it like went over my head. I forget that I still play the Fight Night Champions and he's on there commentating on the game. So I hear him constantly. So they might not know how much that really meant to me, but it meant a lot, because man, like my dad grew up a boxer and I want I that's one thing that I wanted to do always growing up was to be a boxer, but my path went the other way. And to me it just meant a lot that somebody like who gave me like the foundation of knowledge of like boxing, how to score a fight, who is winning this fight in like boxing, Teddy Atlas, and it kind of just made it like it just made it surreal to me whenever I was getting all those compliments from him, and I was like, man, this is really surreal to me. This is nuts because like I never would have thought, I never thought in a million years, especially like with how like there's always that boxing versus MMA thing. I never thought in a million years I would be commented on by Teddy Atlas.
Yeah, and now he's in full force, having the whole podcast, having a bunch of MMA guys on his thing, and dude, it's awesome. And honestly, I feel like it's the best thing, especially as combat sports fans. It's like it shouldn't be like sides taking sides. It's like what I mean, like that Canelo Saunders fight's happening this weekend, and like I'm a combat sports fan and I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way and say, oh, MMA's 10 times better than this. It's like no, we should all be fans of every art.
Oh, that's exactly how I feel on that. I've always been one of those people because I used to argue about it. I used to argue about it, and it kind of like it doesn't like I don't like I just kind of was like, man, like it's like yeah, you like red, I like blue, that type of deal. I don't necessarily even like that. It's like, man, if you like it, you like it. But if you like your favorite color blue, that's cool too. It's like you can like both things and still
Mm-hmm.
be an avid fan. It's like if somebody were to tell you, oh, you want pizza over wings, or pineapple doesn't go on pizza, or all that shit, I'm just like, man, bro, like, hey, look, doesn't matter. It's what you like. If
Yeah.
you like both, then have both. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Uh, to me, like, I'm just like, man, if you're a fan of combat sports, man, you're a fan of boxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA, kickboxing, sambo, judo, all this stuff, all this like wrestling, like you should be a fan of all those sports, man. But if you're not, hey, more power to you, man. You like what you like.
Yeah.
So to me, like I don't like that whole boxing versus because man, I'm in the gym and there's like we have boxers all the time in the gym. Like right now, at O Athletics and with Metro Fight Club, man, like they have a boxing program in there as well. And they have Marlon Esparza in there, boxing all the time. So I'm like, dude, like they give us the respect and
Mm-hmm.
we give them the respect. Because man, it's not easy. It's not easy whichever way you go. It's
Mm-hmm.
still hard. You know, like a lot of people say, no, boxing is more harder. No, MMA is harder. Like, yeah, you can sit there and be like, oh yeah, well, boxers don't realize that to do wrestling and all stuff. It's like, yeah, but also like the boxer is trying to get like ready for this and like they like the pinpoint accuracy, like there's small details where you can't you have to be in tune with. It's like they had to practice a jab 1,000 times. How
Mm-hmm.
many times we had to practice it? Maybe 10, and then also work on our shot. We had to work on a lot of things. We had to work on a lot of things, but they have to overwork us so many other things. So it's like I don't know. I just don't like trying to be like, no, MMA is better, boxing is better. Man, I just love both sports.
Yeah. And I mean, hopefully, like over time, like that, like stigma of like sides versus sides just stops and like eventually becomes like us, like, just become, like you said, it's like if you're a fan of both, be a fan of both. You know what I mean? Like, it's awesome. But like, I do have to ask you though, Canelo Sanders, so how do you think that's going to go down? Because the hype for that's real, especially in the, like, like you said, for like fans of like, of
Dude,
combat sports.
man, I actually really love that fight. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have been saying that Canelo's gonna run through Billy Joe Saunders, and I look at that and I'm just like, man, all right, I think Billy Joe, he's super light on his feet. He moves around, and who does Canelo have trouble with? It's people who are on light on the feet and move around. And Saunders, he has pretty good head movement, man. Dude, he's out there. He's one of those guys that like you might not like him, you might not like all the mess that he's talking, but you can't deny that Billy Joe Saunders is good.
Mm-hmm.
Canelo is really, really, really good, and I think it's gonna be a phenomenal fight. My opinion is I think Canelo has worked on cutting off the ring and making you fight in a smaller area. Uh, and I'm more than likely just gonna lean Canelo, man. And to be quite honest with you, I think he slows Billy Joe down, and I think he might get the finish. Might get the finish. But man, I wouldn't be surprised if Billy Joe Saunders just tries to jab his way out of this fight, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very intriguing matchup for me, but I'm taking Canelo on this one. And
Yeah.
plus, I just can't pick against Canelo.
No, I feels you. And then especially the fact was if I'm hopefully I'm not getting the information right. I mean, hopefully I'm not getting the information wrong, but like, is this gonna be the first event with like 70,000 fans or something like that, or something close to it?
Man, I wouldn't be able to tell you yes or no because I've been so in tune with everything else that I'm barely catching glimpses of this Billy Joe and Canelo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I know I saw the Billy Joe the Saunders and Canelo like going back and forth a little bit about the ring size. I know that much. I don't know about like the stadium or the fans or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But man, honestly, I'm like to me like fans or no fans, I think I would like I'm really like excited just to see the fight. Just like the 261.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
261. Yeah.
261. Like if that had fans or if it didn't have fans, I would have been like wanting to watch this fight. But
Mm-hmm.
since it had fans, like it kind of makes it a little bit more exciting and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
so part of me is just kind of just like, man, I just want to watch this fight. But if it's gonna have fans, like to me, I'm like, all right, I'm 100% in on this.
Mm. No, yeah, because I do have that, especially with like you kind of brought up the UFC 261 like fan aspect of it, right? Like your next fight, like the one your next fight was on July 24th against Randy Costa. I'm not sure if that's gonna have fans in it, but like for you, like would you have have a preference if there's fans, especially if your family and loved ones could be there, and like just like you said, like the energy of fans just being in there just kind of adds an extra oomph to it. So like for you, like would you want that?
Oh, absolutely. I've been waiting for it for a while. Like especially after my last fight,
Mm,
I kind of thinking about it. I was like, man, how great would it have been to have gotten like my last two fights, like
mm,
walk off knockouts, both in my UFC debut, and then my sophomore fight in the UFC. So to me, like just getting both walk off KOs and like I would like to hear a fan reaction, like the fans like going nuts and going crazy. I think that would be really really cool. But also there was like almost like a Zenful type moment about like knocking somebody out and then like you just hear silence or you hear the little like you don't hear as much noise as you used to. Like there's and then also too, man, I kind of did like fighting without no fans because you could hear coaches like
mm,
super clear, super clear. Like they didn't even have to talk very loud. Like my coach, like he usually has like a loud voice, and he pretty much it carries around the arena. But man, he doesn't. He has to talk to me like very regular, like
mm,
very very regular, and like you honestly like probably in the in if you go back and watch the fights, like man, like you hear him in glimpses, and that's all I really need. He just needs to tell me certain small things, and I'll tighten it up and do whatever I need to do. But also, I hear their coaches very clearly, and it's so much easier for me to catch on to what they're saying and what they're doing. So it's like one of those things that I hear. Like I think there was a meme posted where it was I think it was the like someone was grabbing an armbar. Like there was a jiu-jitsu tournament.
mm.
He was grabbing an armbar and it had like Leonardo DiCaprio face where he's like face. And he was
Yeah.
like, whenever you hear the coach coaching him and you reversed what the coach said. I was like, that's exactly how I felt fighting at the Apex. Is like every time I heard his coach say something, I would do the opposite and hit him. It was
Mm,
pretty like so I like that. That was pretty cool because I can use like, oh, that's their strategy. Like his coach is like laying everything out plain as day. And it was just I just got to do the right things. Like, oh, so he's saying level change. I got to make him think about level changing. I like he thinks I'm gonna throw the right hand, hit him with the left. So it's pretty cool. But also the fan interaction whenever I knock him out like would be like very big. Like I can't wait for that.
No, I got you. Hey, but like you said, I mean, there's pros on both sides. So like whatever side it is, it's gonna be awesome. But like I do have to ask you how this fight came about because the social media exchange between you and Randy Costa has been hilarious. So like I just know the Reese's and the Dr. Pepper aspect of it. But like from your end, like how did this all start? Because like this, like between like the MMA community, it gained some heat pretty quick.
Well, here's the thing, man. Like it was like really honestly, MMA Twitter automatically as soon as the fight ends, like they're already trying to match you up with somebody who, like they're always saying like, oh, I think this fight with this fight, and I kind of noticed that my last in October, they're like, oh man, a fight between this guy and this guy would be nuts, and a fight between this guy and this guy would be nuts, and I called out Nathan after my fight because he had called me out originally. Uh, and a lot of people were like, hey, like that fight should happen, but then there's a lot of people who were like, why are you gonna fight this guy? Like, why are you gonna fight this guy? And I was like, well, he called me out. So uh people started mentioning me on Twitter and saying I should fight this guy. They said Davy Grant, and I was like, dude, I'm cool with that fight. I'd be 100% cool with that fight. And then what's weird is because I noticed I got followed by Randy Costa on
Mhm.
Instagram, and now I got followed by him on Twitter. So I was like, he seems he's I guess he's a cool guy. So I
Mhm.
followed him back on both. And somebody's like somebody said something about like Randy hasn't said anything about fighting Yanez, and like my end, I was just like, dude, I'll fight anybody and everybody. I really don't care.
Mm.
I really don't care. And they took Randy being silent or not saying anything about the fight, like kind of like almost pretty much like he's scared. And he came out and was like, oh no, I like him. He's a good fighter. But don't get me wrong, I will go out there and fight him, man. I was like, I like that attitude. Like, I
Mm.
really like that attitude. So I was like, hey, let's do it. And pretty much like the banner between us was just going back and forth. We're just going back and forth about like, because I think also he said I'll fight him because he thinks because he thinks he likes Dr. Pepper or something like that.
Mm. Mm.
And they just kind of built up and it just started going back and forth. And it was friendly. Like we like honestly, like if you were to tell me that this guy was like in town, I'd probably like, hey, like you want to meet up? Let's go have some lunch or something. Like
Mm.
legitimately, I like the guy's a good guy. He could have took every avenue and like pumped this fight up in a different sense of just saying like, yeah, Yanez, he sucks, man. He's fought nobody. He's done this. He could have took the Gustavo route and just started talking mess about who I fought and all that stuff. But instead, no, he was like, it's like, nah, like he likes Dr. Pepper. I don't like Dr. Pepper. I throw it away. It's trash. And it's like, all right, cool. I see what he's doing, and that's pretty cool. Let's do that. And he's a pretty cool guy, man. Then like everything like with the Houston fight card was going on. I remember talking to my manager because we're trying to get that fight on UFC 262.
Mm.
And we're like going back and forth like really like we were really trying hard to get that fight to the point where like Randy like I heard on Randy's side that Randy really wanted it and I was really wanted it. So I was like I had like my manager was like, hey, look, I'm talking to Sean Shelby. It's a super simple just matchup. Like both of y'all want to fight. He was like this is what they want. So we can push that. And to no avail, no success and everything. They're like, with the card's full, we'll wait for fighters to fall off and everything. And like if a fight falls off, y'all are in. And pretty much still know nothing.
Damn.
Like I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, man, like he's game. He wants to come in and fight. He doesn't care about a short notice or anything. Like he doesn't care. And that's one thing I like about the guy because like, man, I'm the same way, man. I've been training. I've been nonstop training. So if a fight were to happen next week, it happened next week. But if it fights 2 months from now, fights 2 months from now, or 3 months or something, man, because we just don't care. Like
Mm.
we're both gonna put our names on the contract and fight anyways.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, but hey, like you said, even if it doesn't happen next weekend, you can probably pump up more posters, more of those Reese's and Dr. Pepper ones that I think you posted a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago. Which, dude, I honestly thought was like really cool. I was like, honestly, they can make some serious money out of this, make some good merch out of this. So that'd be really cool.
Oh yeah, man. Actually, I actually found that design on Twitter. I'd like, man, Twitter hands down by far, like to me is the best social media platform for like for interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, it's so hard to like interact with anybody because as soon as you try to interact with somebody and like it's one of those like I post something and then all of a sudden I get like so many likes, it'll automatically refresh my stuff and the person who I was about to try to respond to, it refreshes and I, like honestly like it's to the point where I was just like I only post stuff on Instagram and I just kind of leave it alone. But on Twitter, it's better interaction. It's
Mm-hmm.
way better interaction, super easier, and then also on my end, like the DMs have been a little bit easier to get to on that. Instagram DMs, it's just all over the place, man. Like it's just I don't know what it is about that place. And then on Facebook, like I don't it
Oh,
that
Facebook's a lost cause now.
dude, it's a lost cause, man. I like it's so hard. That one like a lot worse. Like I really don't even get on it. Like I'm like this close to just saying like screw it. I'm just gonna delete that account. But you know, like that's where a lot of my family see me, so I
Yeah.
can't delete it. So but man, no, I found that design on Twitter and I thought it was really, really cool. So I asked her like, hey, like give me your Instagram name so whenever I repost it, like it's like I give you credit. Uh And I'm actually thinking about having her do some designs for me so I can like use it later on. Because man, I felt like that was really dope. Like
Yeah, that
that,
was really
like
fire. Yeah.
it was like I was looking at that. I was like, dude, it's like has the Dr. Pepper designs. It has like down to the shorts, like
Mm-hmm.
down to the shorts. They had like the design, the Venom shorts, and the Dr. Pepper style, and then he had the Reese's and all that stuff. Venom shorts design, and then like having that cartoon type of deal. Like I thought that was really cool. And then right behind it, you had the picture of me and him and all that stuff. I thought that was I
Yeah, that
loved
was
it.
fire.
I thought that was really. I thought that I was like, man, this is nuts. I love this. And so pretty much like if she hears this in the interview, then she knows I'm gonna ask work from her, and I feel like a good artist deserves to get paid. And I definitely would like to pay her for some more art.
Yeah, definitely. So that's awesome. So for whoever did that for her or for you, I mean for Adrian, I mean you got the message now. So there you go. Totally butchered that, but there you go. But Adrian. So like I said, once again, I really appreciate the time, my man. Before we go though, you want to plug in your social media so everyone can go and follow you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So on Twitter like is probably the easiest one to hit me up on. Man, like my mentions like on Twitter is so much easier to look at. I had to learn about it for a little bit, but honestly, like it's the easiest one to contact me with like at Yanez MMA. That's my Twitter at. Uh, I'm not verified yet, and I'm trying to work for it. Randy Costa is verified, and I'm trying to click for his verification. Yeah, cause screw that, man. But yeah, on Instagram, Adrian Yanez 93. I'm verified on that. So if you see any other Adrian Yanez's, I'm the one that's verified. And on Facebook, Adrian Yanez. I have a fan page called Adrian Yanez MMA. Follow me there too. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Like, just I only have three, and that's the only three I'm ever really gonna go to, anyways. I'm no TikTok.
Not yet, not yet.
I don't know. Probably not yet, and not never. I don't know. I'm debating.
I'm gonna keep you word for it. Next thing you know, I just see an Adrian Yanez TikTok, and I'm be like, damn, they got him. They got another one.
Yeah, they got me.
But Adrian, once again, thank you, and then hopefully we can do this again in the future. And to everyone watching, peace.